Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Welcome to my show. We always talk about entrepreneurship on my show, and I would say that entrepreneurship has never been sexier. You have people like Mark Cuban and Mark Zuckerberg, and they build these mammoth companies, but along the way, there can be hiccups, and that's why I have my guest in studio, Brian Audia. He's with Audia Consulting. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Very cool. Well, and you know the journey of going from working for somebody to working for yourself, and it's a transition. Not everybody can make it.
Yeah, that's right.
Why don't you tell us your journey?
Well, my journey is one of beginning with a large family. I was the oldest of 5 and was an athlete, and my dad was a coach, and I came from a very large extended family of athletes and educators and coaches. Right. So went to college fully thinking that I was going to be an educator and a coach one day, and I guess actually in the end that turned out to be true. However, I had a mentor in business that hired me when I was in college and taught me a lot of principles about process and systems and things like that. And so as Providence would have it, I moved into business right out of college, was an entrepreneur, started and sold a couple businesses, and was on a path to actually becoming a car dealer. Mm-hmm. Had one of my clients from a previous business owned 5 car dealerships. And he had promised me that if I would come and work with him, that he would teach me the business and that I would be a good dealer candidate one day. And some of your listeners or audience that are watching us right now may find that humorous even, that was the track. Right. However, I was very engaged in the charitable world as well, learning how to raise money for some nonprofits and charities that I really cared about, and was heavily engaged in my local church. And this is where kind of it takes a twist, because I had never considered ministry or vocational ministry or anything like that, and was just heavily engaged as a businessman and a lay leader in my local church. But the church was growing so fast, and we wanted to make as large of an impact as we could globally. And so I was a part of a leadership team, and then ultimately ended up creating the systems and structure operationally that our church used globally, and running that system in vocational ministry in 40 or 50 nations. And so that led to me leading a very large ministry in New York City, and then being recruited to lead a national nonprofit organization in based out of Las Vegas, Nevada, and Boston, Massachusetts. Wow. And that led to all kinds of things like collaborative strategic planning and processes and operations at scale. And so kind of wrapping all that experience into really a passion to help others has led me into consulting, and that's where we are today. So
I love that. Well, we were on your Facebook page, and we've got some pictures that we want to put up, because sports have been a part of your life forever.
Right,
and,
absolutely.
And the whole team building thing, yep. Really putting together a winning team and putting together a company winning team.
That's right.
There's a lot of similarity there, isn't there?
Oh, unbelievable. I tell people all the time, I study science, I study research. I'm constantly listening to world leaders in organizational health and performance, and figuring out what we can teach and apply. But I go back, the more I learn about that, I go back to all these teams I participated on and watched my dad coach, and my brother was a coach at the college level as well, and it's amazing how many things you learn about teamwork and accountability and culture, just being a part of those kinds of situations. So I've been on terrible teams that hardly won a game, a couple maybe that never won a game. And then I've been on state champion teams, championship teams, and even in college played for a national championship. So I've seen the difference of what that dynamic's like, and I'd like to think that we take a lot of what we've learned there and apply it in the business situation too.
So when a company engages you, are they typically on a losing streak? Are they a losing team and they want to become a winning team, or are they a winning team that wants to get better?
Yeah, it's a great question. We have both, but it's usually the former that we'll get the calls from. And it's usually a toxic situation. It's, hey, we're crashing here. We need help with our team. Our culture's just horrible. I don't know how it got this way, but it is. Can you come in and take a look and assess the situation and help us turn that around? And I think that we do a great job of that. However, the second group that we're talking about there is the one that I really enjoy as well, because it is absolutely what we call a next level situation.
Yes.
And a lot of times we've got, especially with entrepreneurs, we've got business leaders that have gotten off the ground. They've done an excellent job of establishing a clarity of vision. We're headed in this way. They start growing fast, and then we start seeing the stress cracks with systems and people. And so we can really help those guys as well. And we take pride in both those.
That's cool. Well, I know your faith is really a large part of who you are. Do you consider this for-profit work that you do a ministry?
I do, absolutely. We call our business a businessry. And the reason I use that word, because we'll go into, maybe even a publicly traded company or a secular for-profit business, and there's nothing overt about our faith and the work that we do, the processes, the systems, the research. Nobody would be uncomfortable or anything like that. They may not even notice. However, the question is great, and I appreciate it, Jeff, because it gets at the core of who we are and why we exist. Yes, we have a business. Yes, that's structured this way in America because that's how our capitalistic system works, at least for now. However, this is really just an overflow of the passion that we have to make a difference in people's lives. And we think that business is a great tool for human flourishing. And that when people can come to work doing something they love doing, surrounded by people that they like to be around, that make them better, they're clear about where they're going as a company, that they're making a difference in the world and in people's lives, that they get excited about that. And their engagement grows in the work. And the more engaged they are, the better they perform, the better the company performs, the bigger impact it has in the community or on the global stage, and people have greater joy.
Yes.
And so all of that is why we do what we do.
I think that's wonderful. And on that note, we're going to wrap things up, but we're going to put your website up so people can get a hold of you. GoAudia.com.
That's right.
That's wonderful. Yeah, it's a very clean website. And Brian, thank you. Thank you for the value
Thank
that
you very much.
added
I
to my
appreciate
viewers.
you having me on the show.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.